relays the fate of our nation right now.
7 meters 30.
Well, it's taken a lot of people to get to this point, a lot of generations.
Welcome to Women in Sport. Today, we're talking with Annika Malacinski, one of the world's top Nordic Combined athletes and a key voice in pushing to include women in the Olympics for Nordic Combined, the only Winter Olympic sport that still only allows men to compete.
Hello, Tess.
Hello, Sophie.
How excited are we about the Winter Olympics in Feb?
Well, I'm sure you're going to be more excited because I believe that you're actually attending to cover them. But I have to say, I am a lot more excited now that I understand a bit more about some Winter Olympic sports. I am also very disappointed to see that the person we spoke to for this interview is not going to participate, not because she's not at that level. She's definitely at that level, but because her sport doesn't allow women to participate.
So we're talking about the Nordic Combined event. If you don't know what this means, Tess, what is Nordic Combined? Now you know at least.
Now I do. I had to prepare for the interview, you see. So Nordic Combined, it involves ski jumping and cross-country skiing.
You know, I love these kind of combined events, you know, like biathlon and Nordic Combined, because ski jumping is so challenging and like a technically demanding sport. And then also you have the cross-country part where, people just go all out and everything can happen. It's such an amazing sport. However, as you mentioned, there is one big but, which is that women won't be competing in the Nordic Combined event in the upcoming Winter Olympics. Why is that?
There's an official note by the International Olympic Committee. According to them, there is low participation of countries, there's limited media appeal, and there's also a lack of gender equity in this sport.
I mean, I think accessibility in winter sports or, you know, different sports is such a tricky one, because I do think it is okay to be a bit critical. At the same time, you know, those people are extremely hardworking and they are high-performing athletes. And as you mentioned, they have prepared for the Olympics. And one thing I find interesting about this debate, participating in the Olympics gives them exposure, and I do think would be a venue and a way and a channel to make this sport more visible and maybe have other people feel attracted or, you know, inspired to try it out, might actually lead to more participation. So anyway, I am super excited to see and hear more about her take and stance on things. Let's get into it.
Annika claimed the women's title at the 2023 US Nordic National Championships, has represented the US at multiple World Championships, placing in the top 10 in 2023 in the Nordic Combined World Cup. For this episode, we also reached out to the International Olympic Committee. The IOC decided to continue the exclusion of women for the Milano Cortina 2026 Games, which are about to start in Italy this February. We talked to the committee about its criteria to include women for the next Winter Olympic Games in the French Alps in 2030. So don't miss that part then. Well, hello and welcome. It's a pleasure talking to you. I recently learned what Nordic Combined was, to be honest. This podcast is run by two people. My colleague Sophie Timmerman, she is the super sports person. I'm more of the newbie at everything. And I'm just trying to learn, just like many of our listeners. And when I first came across your account, that was when I first realized that Nordic Combined is not part of the Olympics, which seems completely crazy. Tell us a little bit about who you are and like when you started this crazy sport, because since then I've been watching it and it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. I am Annika Malacinski. I am on Team USA, so on the Nordic Combined national team for women. A little bit about me. I grew up in the mountains, Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's ski town, USA. It's so amazing. Everybody skis, everybody is running, everybody is outside. And like, I feel like it's a little bit counterintuitive, like what you think about USA or America. It's like you're thinking either New York City or LA, but Steamboat, it's just the cutest, charming ski town. And so I was so fortunate as a kid to be able to grow up there. My mom is from Finland, so I am half Finnish, so I have like that Nordic culture and heritage in me as well. So I did grow up in a little city called Rovaniemi, Finland, and it is home to Santa Claus, as many may know. So it's on the Arctic Circle. And what's interesting about the way that our parents, or me and my brother, our parents parented us, is that we did first semester of school in Finland and second semester in the US, all 12 years of my life, like 12 years of school. So from kindergarten to senior year of high school, I was doing half and half and half. And it was purely just like my mom didn't want us to lose the language of Finnish. She wanted to kind of like for us to be with the family and my grandparents and also go to one of the best educational systems in the world, which is Finland. So it was a really interesting way of life. But I loved it. I had lots of friends in both countries. At that time, me and my brother were put into like every sport possible. Like we grew up in ski culture. So we were skiing. My dad's a ski instructor, soccer, horseback riding, gymnastics, like everything that you can think of. My brother, he's 2.5 years younger than me. He committed to the sport of Nordic Combined, which is ski jumping and cross country skiing at the age of 7. And then I actually committed like pretty heavily to gymnastics at the age of 12. And so that like consumed my life and I loved it because gymnastics was my passion. Like this is what I wanted to go all the way to the Olympics for. Unfortunately, my body grew. I sustained tons of injuries, shoulder dislocations, all you can name basically. And I came to a point in my life where I was like, okay, I can't do gymnastics anymore. I've been an athlete my whole entire life. Like I was raised in sports. What do I do? Like I had all this free time and I had time to be with friends. And like I just knew that that was not the life that I wanted. Like I didn't want to be this normal person. Like I knew that there was more for me out there and I felt it that it was like in sport. So it was 2017. My brother was competing in a really fun like jumping and jamming competition in Steamboat Springs over the 4th of July. And the whole town comes and watches and there's so much support and love and it's really cool. It's an amazing event. And I watched my 14-year-old brother at the time like almost beat 20-plus-year-olds on the ski jumps. And I was like, wow, that is such a badass sport. And I'm an adrenaline junkie. So I'm like, okay, like this actually might be something that I want to try. And I was 16 at the time, mind you. Like you put your kids in ski jumping when they're young because there's no fear. I was 16, so there should be a lot of fear to even like look at a ski jump and think I might want to go down that. Long story short, I got equipped with all the oldest gear in the club, like these boots that probably had been passed down 10 athletes and a suit that was just sweat marks everywhere and just grass stains. And I went up to the 40-meter ski jump because at the time in Steamboat, that was the smallest ski jump. I sat on that bar and you're kind of like your skis are locked in the track because in the summertime they're porcelain. So you're like in the tracks. Okay. And I let go and I flew like 10 meters off a 40-meter ski jump, like arms flailing. I landed and the adrenaline that like was just going through my body was so insane. Like I remember I had tunnel vision. I kind of like, I crave that kind of stuff. So after that, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And if this is not in my head to be like, I want to get this to high level and like be a World Cup athlete, it was honestly just to like fill a void I had lost with gymnastics. But here we are, like 7-8 years later, I'm a World Cup athlete. I just finished competing the first World Cup of this season. I placed 17th and 14th on Saturday. So yeah.
I saw that one of the jumps was 84 meters, I want to say. Wow. Yes.
Yeah, you really did your homework.
that distance, it sounds, I mean, what you were saying before about how you get your kids involved soon so they're not fearing the jump. I get that because I was afraid to see the people on the computer jump. So I can't even imagine actually jumping that distance. What do you feel when you're flying through the air? In that, like when you're, especially on the landing part, I mean.
Well, mind you, like ski jumping is a skill you have to master. Like when I first started jumping, I mean, it took many years for me to even get over my skis. Because what ski jumping looks like is you're like laying on top of your skis in the air. Like that's what's supporting you. The first couple years, I was looking like Batman was going off the jumps, like full like effort, the head through the skis, but you're like totally upright. I think in the beginning, there's definitely more fear. Like you have more levels and steps to go up. So like normally you start on the 10 and then the 20 and then the 30 and the 40 and you go all the way up to the 120-meter ski jump. But in my case, like the smallest one was 40. So I just had to send it off 40. I would say like the first years, especially when I got to graduate like to the 90-meter and then eventually the 120-meter, those are moments that are just like am I going to survive this? Like, you're at the top of the ski jump and you're like, how is this gonna go? And then it ends up being fine because it's kind of like muscle memory. But now I think I'm on my 8th year. I'm 24 now. So like, I have been in this sport, like, it's not so long, but it's a lot of like training and work and lots of jumps that are behind me. At this point, when I'm ski jumping, like, it's normal. Like, it's my everyday. Like, I go up the ski jumps, I've talked to my coaches, we work on some technique, and then I'm like repeating the jumps over, and I get about like 4 to 8 jumps a session.
I mean, you definitely achieved the goal of not being a normal person, for sure.
Good, I'm glad.
Can we talk a bit, because I was reading the announcement that the International Olympic Committee did when they decided not to move forward with women, and it seemed that they did the announcement at the same time they were patting themselves on the back, saying that it was going to be the most gender equal Winter Olympic Games, and that's so. How did that feel? Because I saw some of your comments, and they seem pretty raw, but quite understandably.
Yeah. So at this point, I have been fighting for our spot to be at the Olympics for now like almost 4 years when that decision was made. Just briefly about like women's Nordic Combined. Nordic Combined is an original Olympic sport. So 1924 in Genève, France. It's never been available for women. And so when I started Nordic Combined at 16 in 2017, it was like this rise of like trying to push women to do Nordic Combined so that it could be equal. In that, like, I've had an incredible experience with the girls that started and have been pushing for it. With them, I have competed in like a Continental Cup and the first ever World Cup that happened in 2021 in Ramsau, Austria, and the first World Championships that followed in Oberstdorf, Germany. And from there, like, we have only grown. Like, that's what's so insane about this sport is like, yeah, you can say that it's new and fresh and young, but like the level that we are at right now, it just needs to be studied because I've never seen this before. For example, a Finnish Nordic Combined athlete, Heta Hirvonen, she's quite young as well. She is trying to make the Olympic team for ski jumping. And 2 weeks ago, ski jumping had their World Cup in Lillehammer, Norway. She was 10th. And these are, mind you, with ski jumpers. Like, ski jumpers only train for ski jumping. Nordic Combined, we have to like split our time to train ski jumping as well as skiing. So like, she placed top 10 in a World Cup in ski jumping. And that's just so insane to me. And that's like, I'm trying to educate people that it's not just like we're a couple women trying to go to the Olympics. Like, no, like at this World Cup, we had over 30 women on the starting list. And like the level is just absolutely crazy. So it's really frustrating because when that decision was ultimately made in 2022, like, but prior to that, the IOC had made us kind of like a checklist of things that we needed to get done for them to eventually add the women. And we did everything on that checklist like times 10. They wanted us to grow the sport, get more women, more competitions. Like, we did everything. And so when that decision was made, like, there was no doubt in my head that they were not adding us. Like, they added men's synchronized swimming to Paris and there's no men to do it. So it's just like, make it make sense, please. I just don't understand it. And so they went on about saying we don't have enough women doing it. But then when you're looking at sliding sports like bobsled and skeleton, like, we have the same amount of nations, not enough nations on the podium. We had 3 different nations at the World Championships podium in Slovenia and this past 2025 in Trondheim. I don't know about what you think, but like 3 different nations on top 3 is like the most that you can get. You can't get more than that. Whereas like when you're looking at cross-country skiing, like, it's obvious that Norway is dominating. So then you think, okay, like that cancels out. And then they're like, well, Nordic Combined for the men in Beijing didn't have enough viewership for us to profit. So then you're like, okay, ding, 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 there it is. You didn't make money off of us. So at the end of the day, it's about politics. And so that's why they did not add us for 26.
You kind of cover the 3 main reasons that they gave, you know, the low participation. I think they mentioned that only 10 countries competed in the World Championship. But then again, it's similar with other smaller there is a certain irony to claim that there's a lack of gender equity in the sport, which was, I think, was also one of their arguments, and at the same time saying, but we're not going to support the participation of women.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because, like, I use this analogy all the time. Like, news articles are probably so sick of this, but they literally, like, they set us up for failure. They were like, we need you to grow the sport more. But, like, how are we supposed to grow a sport if you don't, like, add it to the program? And then, like, as a younger girl that's in Nordic Combined and could choose to go ski jumping or cross-country skiing, what's stopping me from doing that, knowing that women's Nordic Combined is not in the Olympics? At the end of the day, like, they're tying our hands and feet together, throwing us overboard, and they're like, swim to shore. What? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Is there anything that can be done for the next ones, for 2030? Or is there anything that's already in the works?
Obviously, like, just spreading the word. And this is, like, a great place to start. Podcasts, news articles. I had a film come out about me in March about the whole, like, process and my journey as an athlete, and then, like, what I'm fighting for Women's Nordic Combined. Because it is insane to say that we're living in 2025 and there's still, like, there's not gender equity. How is that possible in 2025? And it's, like I said, it's not like there's, like, 5 of us that just, like, want to go. So I think that it's just important to spread the message. That's exactly what I'm trying to do with my documentary as well as my social media. Because, like you said, like, you started saying, like, I didn't know that this was an ongoing issue. And that's the problem, is, like, 90% of, probably more, 90% of the world just doesn't know. Nordic Combined is such a niche, cool sport so that's kind of, like, what we face. But honestly, I think that just the most important thing is just, like, spreading the word and putting pressure on the IOC.
I watched the documentary. It was fantastic. It's very short, but also I think it covers the topic really, really well. There's also some crazy jumps there. When I see... So what you mentioned before about how there weren't as many countries, but it was still very diverse when it came to the podiums. Something that I think is important to notice is that I saw at least 3 continents represented on those small list of countries. There was Japan, there was the US, there was a bunch of the Nordics. Yeah. So even though it's not a massive list by numbers, it is quite a big region. It's not like we're just talking about the US and Norway competing against each other. How does that compare with the men's division?
When you're looking at summer sports, Summer Olympics, track and field, like, anybody has access to run. Yes. Right? Anybody has access to do these, like, swim, for example. Like, most places have a swimming pool. Winter sports, like, you need to grow up in a place that has snow. And then even more, like, a place that has ski jumps. And in the US, that's very, very few. First, you have to keep that in mind. Like, there might be thousands of people trying to make the Olympic team for running. But there's not going to be that many because, like you said, like, ski jumping is so niche and crazy. Like, not everybody's like, I'm going to go ski jump and, like, this looks cool. Like, it's scary. It's terrifying, especially, like, getting into it. You really have to have, like, the grits and have the balls to be able to do it in the first place. We have Japan, we have USA. I mean, like, my teammate podiumed for the first time this weekend. Like, that's incredible. That's a US podium since in 5 years. So, like, we are going in the right direction. With the men, I mean, I think in, honestly, like, many fields, like, men have more. So this weekend there was, like, just over 50 something men, so just a little bit less than half of the field is doubled. But other than that, like, all the strong nations like Austria, Germany, Finland, Norway, like, they have team for men and women, and most of the time filling the quota spots. But then you kind of have, like, we had one man in competing for China. In that sense, I feel like we're very equal. Like, we have very strong, like, bigger nations, and even Japan, like, has a great show out. Also, like, when they decided that they weren't putting women in for 26, like, we had a girl skiing for Great Britain, but she literally had to quit because her federation was not going to pay her anymore because it's not an Olympic sport. And what sucks is, like, even I'm on the US ski team, like, there are many grants and stipends that you can, like, apply for and get. But the catch is your sport has to be in the Olympics. So most of the time, my brother is getting more money because he's like able to apply to these things, or even with sponsors, like he's able to sell this Olympic dream. And then like I can't even bring up the word Olympics because like I'm not even allowed to compete there. I really feel there's a lot of barriers for women, and it's especially in that financial state. Like, yeah, it sucks that someone has to quit because their federation will not pay for them to be an athlete because of the IOC decision that was made in 2022.
Because I would imagine, I mean, skiing per se is not a cheap sport. If there's not going to be even the chance to be in the Olympics, I can imagine how that tickles down.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's really frustrating. A lot of the sponsors that my brother and I have are the same, and thank God they want to support the men and women. But there have been cases where like my brother's flights get booked because he's on the road to the Olympics, but mine don't because, you know, I don't have that status. And that is so like a slap in the face because it kind of like undermines the hard work that I put into this. I can't even begin to, like, being an athlete is hard. It's not just what you like put into the training hours. It's the recovery, it's the sleep, it's the going out of your way and stretching, making sure that you have your nutrition, blood tests. Like it's a lot of money, and it's just like, it feels so sad that we're in a world where it's like undermining the women. It just doesn't feel right. So it's like one of the biggest reasons it's not only like fighting for my dream, but so many other girls' dreams to wanting to compete at the Olympics.
Have the International Olympic Committee responded? I mean, after they announced that it was not going to be included, there was quite a big response, I think, from the community. Did they ever respond to you?
So after the decision was made, the women ended our season in Oslo, Norway, and we were able to sit in on a Zoom call with one of the IOC board members, Kit McConnell. And it was just kind of like going over the reason and whatnot, and it was like disheartening because I really started to realize at the end of the day, like, they just do not care. Like, it is not on the top of their agenda. They go to like sleep just as fine every single night, whereas like when that decision was made, my like world crashed down. Like, something that I had been dreaming of since I was 2 years old at the time was gymnastics, and then turned to be Nordic Combined, was just like ripped away from me, and not in any great reason too. I've also learned, being kind of like the face of Nordic Combined and like fighting for this and fighting for a spot in this world, it's like I feel so small. In my opinion, the Olympic Committee is just shady, disgusting. In my opinion, like I've seen it now. It's not the hard work and the athlete and like being at the top of the level. It's about how the Olympics can profit off of you. And at the end of the day, that's so sad.
Is there anything about your sport that you think it's misunderstood? Because I think a lot of people focus a lot on the jump, and I think it's the most visually impressive one. But it has a second part.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just because I do this sport, but genuinely, I feel like this is one of the most badass sports you can do. And I feel that there's always this like, oh, you do it because you're not good at ski jumping and you're not good at skiing. But it's like so far away from that. It's being able to like master the Nordic sports. It's two completely different disciplines. Like, one, you're focusing on flying and like the fast twitch muscles and being in the gym and getting strong, and especially the mindset of this. Like, ski jumping, I can't even start to talk about how mental the sport is. But then you have the other aspect of putting in so many hours of endurance work to build your endurance up, and just like being able to sit in this horrible pain cave. So many people will probably never experience this in their life, but actually, like, your body is in a state of like, am I dying? Like, that is why your body's like, stop, even though you're feeling this immense amount of pain, but you're fighting through it to get to the finish line. And that is just like, those are some of the grittiest athletes, like endurance athletes. Crazy. Being able to train for two. How are you splitting your time? Some athletes might need to work a little bit more on the endurance aspect and a little bit less on ski jumping, or vice versa. And you kind of have to understand your body a little bit more to know what you need more of. It could get so complicated. I mean, you're looking at ski jumpers, they're stick thin. How are you stick thin, but also have the energy to ski 5 or 10K? So it's just, there's a lot that goes into the sport, and I have a lot of passion for it. And I think it's just so cool that you're not only focusing on one sport like 90% of athletes do, but you're focusing on 2 completely different disciplines. And that in itself is so, so cool. Only the most like badass people are able to do that.
How much time do you have between the jump and the race? Do they happen on the same day, on the same... Is it right after? This comes from full ignorance, by the way.
Yeah. No, it's a really great question, because every single like World Cup venue, like it's completely different. Like sometimes, like this weekend on Saturday, we had a mass start. So we do have a little bit different formats to kind of like change it up, see like which Nordic Combined athletes are like better at the jumping or the skiing. So like mass start always favors ski jumping a little bit more, because when we're starting all together, from the first girl that finished to the last, it was like 45 seconds. You have to be better at the ski jumping aspect. And then when we have compact races, it's like a way less time difference. So we ski jump, but then like it's not as big of a difference as the Gunderson, which is the completely normal Nordic Combined format.
And that's because, for people who have no idea about Nordic Combined, as I understand it, the way that you place on the jump, it's going to mean certain penalties from when you get to start your... Okay,
yeah,
can
so
you explain that a little bit?
Yeah.
Just to backtrack a little.
Yeah, so like the normal like Gunderson format for Nordic Combined is ski jump in the morning. So usually we have a trial jump, which is just like testing it out, seeing how the jump is, like making little tweaks. So this jump doesn't count for anything, right? And then we go up for the ski jumping, like normal competition. And let's say like I go 95 meters and I have like great style. So it's not only the distance, but we have also judges that like kind of rate your style in the air, and you're supposed to land in a telemark. And then from there, like let's say I went 95 meters. So I'm starting in the cross country race that happens a couple hours after, like at 0-0. I'm the first one to go. And then after that, it's like a cat and mouse chase a little bit. So from there, like regarding the points is how many seconds you're behind. So maybe second place is like 8 seconds behind me. And then it can go all the way up to like 5 minutes. So if you're leaving like 5 minutes after, you don't really have a chance to get up there at all, because that's a lot of time that you're missing out on. But let's say if like 7th place skis all the way up to first and crosses the finish line first, they win. So that's like the very normal, but now we've changed it up a little bit to like spice things up. And now we have a compact method, which I was talking about, which is like less time. So now it's not quite 5 minutes, but the last person is going like 1:30 to 2 minutes. And that definitely favors the strong cross-country skiers. And then we have compact, which means that instead of starting ski jumping in the morning, we start with a mass start in cross-country skiing. So we're all going out together. And then a couple hours later, we go to the ski jumps, and the points and the times and everything are distributed. And this format is definitely favoriting the ski jumping.
It must be really tough to do the ski jump after doing the race.
Oh my God. Actually, we competed
Your muscles
Friday.
must be...
Yeah. We competed like a normal Gunderson on Friday, and then we had mass start on Saturday. And after the race and like getting to the ski jumps, like I hit a wall. Like my eyes were like halfway closed. I had so much lactic acid in my legs. I was like, oh my God, how am I even going to get up to the ski jumps? Like I had to like eat some candy, get some sugar going, because I was like just dead. And yeah, that can be really hard, but that's kind of like, that's the game, you know?
And I wanted to give the mic to you. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think it's important to understand?
Yeah, no, I think that like what we kind of talked about is just like, it's kind of scary times, because we are coming up on a decision. They're going to make it after the men compete to see like, do they profit off of them? So it's kind of like their fate, our fate is in the men's hands. What's so scary about it is like one of like the most badass, coolest sports out there that is like legacy from being in the first ones ever is in the chopping board. Like if they don't add women for 2030, there's no way we're going to go another Olympic year or like 4 years without equality. It's not only the women that it's scary if we make it or not, but it's also the men. Honestly, I think just like spreading the word. If you guys watch the documentary, that's amazing to spread around. A lot of the schools that I went to, all the kids like wrote letters to the IOC, like demanding to want to see women's Nordic Combined. And to be fair, like I have no idea if the IOC even cares, if they're even reading these letters, if they're seeing these emails, I don't know. But if there is like this chance that they are and they're seeing the traction that women's Nordic Combined is getting, then that's something. And like something is better than nothing. So whether that's writing a letter, writing an email, calling, telling a friend, showing the friend the documentary, watching, making it, you're like putting it into the agenda that you're going to watch Women's Nordic Combined, anything works. Because I think I was just having a conversation with my brother about this. It's like so many people like want to fight for women in sports, like soccer and whatnot, but then they don't watch it. Like you can't fight for it if you don't support it, right? So the way that you support us is by watching us. Like make it your plan that not this next weekend, but the next, I think the 19th and 20th of, and it sucks that it's like that, but if that's what it has to be, then that's what it has to be.
Is there any event that's going to come in February that we can tell our listeners to?
So what sucks so much is that like February calendar for women is like wide open. We don't have anything because of the Olympics. And so I will probably be in Milan as an athlete that does the same sport as my brother, but be in the sidelines watching him. So I will, of course, always be there to cheer him on. He is probably one of the most hardworking people that I know, and I just really hope that he makes it there. We have the Seyfeld Triple, which is a really exciting event on January 30th to February 1st. And then from the 6th to the 22nd is the Olympics, so nothing for the women. And then after that, we have Lahti, Finland, 6th and 7th of March. And then our final World Cup, which is Oslo, the 15th of March. For the listeners, like that is the best way you can support us. It's just watching our sport.
I will be watching. I'm hoping to be able to understand more now.
Thank you. And if you have like any questions, I am one of those people that will always like answer a question, or because I just love educating people about this wonderful sport.
We have just listened to Annika Malacinski, but as promised, the Women's Sport Podcast also reached out for comment to the International Olympic Committee. They said, and I quote, that there had been many challenges in Nordic Combined with regard to international representation, particularly outside of Europe. This is demonstrated, they said, by the fact that, at least in the last 3 editions, the 27 medals available in Nordic Combined were won by athletes from only 4 countries. In addition, Nordic Combined had by far the lowest audience numbers during those games. We asked them then why those minimums are okay to continue to include Nordic Combined for the men in these Olympic Games, but not to allow women to compete for the first time. And the IOC explained that the decision to retain the men's event for one more edition is intended to allow them to collect comprehensive data during the Games. Following this evaluation, they said, the IOC will make a decision on the inclusion of Nordic Combined both for men and women in the program for the future Olympic Winter Games, which are going to be in the French Alps in 2030. Inclusion of women and men in these games will be then assessed based on that data. That was all for this episode of Women in Sport. If you want to learn more about this topic, follow us on Instagram or check Annika's documentary we have linked in the episode description. What sports we cover next? What athlete do you really want us to interview? Let us know in the comments. And if you have time, it really helps the podcast if you can give us a review. Until next time.